So 2 wickets fallen in that session, the morning session of day 3. A couple of 30-plus burgeoning partnerships from India's perspective now with Justin Langer and Irfan Pathan. You do have the batting all-rounders at the crease here. So just from that perspective, Justin, JL, if you just look at the pitch now, there's still runs in it. There's still nothing iffy. There's still no demons in it. From India's perspective, chasing that mammoth total with your two batting all-rounders, Nitish again on a 40. What is that approach to be keeping in mind, batting in the possibly in the fourth innings as well?
Well, this wicket is magnificent. We might come out of retirement to bat on this wicket. It's such a good batting surface. We've seen a lot of it. India just need to keep batting as long as they can. The new ball's coming in 7 overs. They have to get through these couple of overs from Nathan Lyon and then get through the new ball. But it's still a beautiful batting surface, and India need to keep batting for as long as they can.
Irfan, new ball due, and also now as we step out, a little bit of cloud cover.
Yeah, absolutely. Then when the new ball comes, it will be a bit more harder, especially if this wicket falls down. Because these are the two batters who are really confident. They have a good technique. Nitish Kumar Reddy is outstanding, and he's been very impressive as well. He needs to take more responsibility, much more than Washington Sundar. If he bats for long enough, obviously we'll get the follow-on away as well. And at the same time, even after that, even after follow-on, the longer the bat, the better it is. And you never know with the weather, what happens. And then suddenly if you get as close as possible to the Australian score, not very close, but as close, it will be good for Team India, because in the second inning, they'll come really hard, especially the Indian fast bowler with Bumrah and Akashdeep and Siraj. If they can have a really, really good first up with the new ball, things can change. So keep believing that and make sure this next 1 hour when they bat will be very, very crucial.
If Australia let them bat that 1 hour with ease, their game plans, their field sets to utilise the most out of this session from an Australian perspective?
Yeah, I think, Australia will definitely bat again, no matter when. They might bowl out the first 4 balls. They're still going to bat again, no doubt. The hope India must take from this pitch is a drop-in wicket pitch. It will not get worse. It's not going to deteriorate. There's no sign really of any footmarks for the spinners to bowl into. So my point there is India are going to have great hope that they can bat for a very long time in the second innings as well, because this wicket will not deteriorate as the game goes on.
And why Justin is saying that, if you look at the pitch, it has a really good grass cover. When you have that kind of grass cover, it's very hard.
Well, it's also a good thing that you both are no longer playing. I believe JL used to charge down the track towards Irfan Pathan and India. With that, we'll go up back to Mark.
Just very interested in Justin's first impressions of Nitish Reddy. And, we know that he's coach of Lucknow Super Giants. I mean, he's the sort of player you'd like to sign, isn't he?
Oh, there's no question. I saw him, Mark. I saw a little interview with him before the series, and I saw how fit he is. He was doing one-arm push-ups, and the sort of man is right up my alley. But I think with the Sunrisers have got him, but I'd have him in my team any day of the week. There's something about him. I love his spirit. I love his hunger, and he's going to need to be at his best in this next session.
The latest signing. What about that shot that he played, your LSG's latest signing?
I think that expression said it all, Sonny.
Yes, the little master. We've been sitting in the commentary box together. I know what you thought about it. And Ricky Ponting said to me, but if it goes for 6, everyone's saying it's the greatest shot of all time. But guess what? It didn't.
Average here at the MCG is 13. It's outstanding. There's a bit of cloud cover, as we mentioned in our pitch report that we did earlier. It's a utility of Nathan Lyon as well.
That's right, and the new ball's coming. So I've been saying I thought Nathan Lyon would have a bigger impact as the game goes on. He gets that bounce. He comes over the top of the ball, gets spin and bounce. But Scott Boland, Mitchell Starc, and Pat Cummins, with the new ball still to come, India are going to have to fight really hard, but we keep saying it. They've got to fight. We've got 2 young, hungry batters in at the moment, Washington Sundar and Nitish Reddy. They're hungry, they're young, and they're up for the challenge.
With another left-hander at the crease, you will think of the way you saw Nathan Lyon's dismissal of Ravindra Jadeja as well. That was crucial. He's got now 124 wickets against India, so he's relentless in the pursuit of going it. That was a battle to watch between him and Jadeja as well. Jadeja tried to review it unsuccessfully.
And it would have hurt, and he'll be disappointed with that.
Mark, Mark, you and Sunny, I know, have some opinions about that as well, because there's only that much, Sunny G, that India can do as far as this next session, the post-lunch session, is concerned.
Before we go to Sunny, I need to ask you both about the development of your brand. I feel that the Langer and Langer show has real legs.
I have to tell JL, I told him, in fact, that I've been doing this for 18 years when I started. And this is, I don't know if this is a testament or insult to him or an insult to me, but when I started, everyone said, oh, she must be Justin Langer's daughter. Now I'm your sister, apparently.
Oh, yeah, we're sisters.
That's how long I've been doing this, and he still looks the same.
What you can do, you guys, you can tell me about the vibe out there, because we've had 88,000 the first day, mid-70,000s the second, and another 70,000, am I right in saying, today? I mean, it must be the most fantastic electric feel out there.
Well, day one, we remember also, it was about 36 degrees. It was so hot. The last 2 days, the temperatures come down, but the vibe out here is magnificent. We always see it in India. The big games in India, there's the noise, there's the energy, there's the adrenaline, and we're feeling it 3 days. And the reason it is not only because it's 3 days over Christmas, but it's brilliant cricket. It's on one of the great stadiums in the world, and it's brilliant cricket. It's been magnificent. We're loving it, and I can't wait for the next ball, Marky Mark.
Marky Mark, that's another brand.
Marky Mark, the brand, but the Langers, they're stealing the show. Thank you both very much down there. Great stuff. We've got Sunny here, and you know, you've actually.
You look at that little headline, there has been some risk, but quite a lot of reward for Nitish Kumar Reddy, our Billa Opus, top performer so far, because here with Mark Nicholas to come from there, he's in.
Where's he from?
He's from he's a Hyderabadi boy. Allu Arjun all the way from him. Mark, also, at some point, Australia figured out we've got to target him with some of the stuff, the short stuff, the body blows. We've got to be able to try and just throw him off his game that way, but he took.
Yeah, well, you've got to have a lot of courage to play at this level. You've got to have the ability to cope with the short ball. You've got to have an all-round game. You talked about the temper. Enjoyable and potentially positive partnerships for any international team in the game at the moment. To see two young people grab their opportunity and play this well against this quality of attack from a position of potential disaster for India, 164 for 5. And this team have dragged India back in, these two players have dragged India back in the match. It's some of the best batting I've seen.
70,000 people today enjoying this test match as well, you know, because Australia will start feeling the heat. The longer these two play, with a little bit of rain around, this pitch looks good. India batted once on day 5 here to save a test. So there'll be tremendous belief in that dressing room that, you know, concentrate hard last 2 days and the session that will come up here. And the series is not over as yet.
Ravi, the best players think, right? Really think. Your awareness of fielders, of the game situation. And the way that when they've dropped a field back, the Australians, they've just dropped the single into the space. Yeah. The way that when they've left a gap, they've taken the gap for the single. They haven't tried to go hard at the ball. All the opportunities have been spotted and taken in these 2 innings.
And no half measures when they played shots. Yeah, you mentioned the sound, the cracking sound. Yeah.
And primarily he's coming to the fore because of what we've seen him play in the T20 format, with the application that he's shown today for someone who's just in his early 20s, who's handed his cap by Virat Kohli, someone that he at one stage snuck a selfie in with a couple of years ago. Nitish Kumar Reddy is quite literally living the dream. We won't even talk about the milestone that he could be building towards. One thing he said there, Mark, was belief. And sometimes belief trumps numbers, belief trumps perceptions. Against at the MCG, it's a cauldron. India had their backs to the wall. There have been more established batters, Indian batters ahead of you. You've come in at number 8 and you've stitched this innings. And you've batted the time that India needed today. India just needed the time today.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can do it without belief. All the best young players that you see have got belief. There's a reason why many of the biggest scores in the history of the game are made when players... You know what I mean? It's as if when he runs in a bowl, he thinks he'll take it with every ball he bowls. When he walks out to bat, he thinks he'll make a score. He believes in himself against this strong opponent in a way that's very hard to do. A lot of people would be intimidated by this Australian attack. He ain't intimidated at all.
And just the purity of his technique. You know, look at his technique. There's very little trigger movements. The stride that he gets out there forward. You know, the awareness of when to do what. I love the way he chipped down the track to Scotty Boland. Moment he came into the attack, he made the keeper come up to the stumps. You know, his awareness of getting closer to the length of the ball and shortening the length, not allowing Boland to get that C movement or movement in the air. Yeah. I thought he was just superb. And just see how close he plays to the body. He showed that in every innings in this series, but in this innings in particular, even playing, you know, you talk about youngsters, you look at this game, Constas 22. You know, Nitish Reddy 21-22, Washington Sundar 23, you got Jaiswal 23. So, you know, these guys, they're ready. He is more than ready, Nitish Reddy, but I'm saying
he's well prepared.
He's more than ready, but the others, you see all of them. Look at the swag and that partnership. Not once were they timid, you know, they were intimidated, overawed by the crowd or this Australian, you know, side. They were ready. They had the fire in the belly.
The swag has been translated from you, Ravi, into this next generations of Indian cricketers.
You have the only way you play Australia. You can't. You have to play them in their backyard the way they play their cricket. There's no other way. There's no substitute for that.
It's a good point about getting close to the ball. I mean, he does get close to the ball, and he plays tight. He keeps his hands close to his body in his defence. And that little trigger is almost a bit A.B. de Villiers-like. He's got that little move back and across, and then he presses forward, and then he sets himself to play. And if it works for A.B. de Villiers, as it does, it'll sure work for Nitish. So I think he's the real deal, the full package, all the cliches we can come out with.
You know, and at a young age, there was an interview which he did. So they asked him, you know, what was your highest score? He said 414. So, you know, he can play the long innings. He was 14 years of age. And he scored 400 runs in I don't know what level of cricket, but 400 is 400.
It's interesting that the point you talk about, close to the body, that awareness, because he did mention KL Rahul as one of the people that he talks to quite a bit in this team. KL has so much experience in Australia and has been that batter. But this partnership here, our Force for Good, brought to you by Aditya Birla Group, it isn't just about the awareness that they should.
In their defence. You know, defence is very important. When you're playing against the best sides in the world, you've got to be able to back your defense. As much as you might want to attack, you've got to have the right technique to keep the good ball out, because you will get more good balls against good sides, you know, than any other sides in the world. So if you look at that partnership as well, you know, so, you know, it's all properly organized.
The one who actually had that partnership, one part of the partnership here, one part of the down there.
Members, you know, the president.
It's the second brand moment today because we had Langer and Langer earlier. Now we've got Biddy and Binny.
I can do it both, Mark. I can do it, balancing the best of both of the worlds. What is so interesting is that once this test match started, and we heard that Shubman Gill has been dropped, a pure specialist batter, you've got the all-rounders, you're not bowling Washington Sundar enough, you're maybe not getting enough out of Nitish Kumar Reddy as a seam bowler, but the application that they've showed with the bat, now it opens up, Mark, a very interesting Pandora's box of conversations, because they have definitely showed their ability with the bat and maybe have not been utilised with the ball.
Well, they've got to play in the team. I mean, any idea that he was picked as a bit part player. I mean, Washington is picked as an off spinner and he can bat. But Nitish Reddy was sort of between stalls a bit, really. I think people thought he was mainly a batsman who could bowl, but he's had to fill in as an extra bowler. I feel that he could bat at 6. Then you have Jadeja at 7. And then you're into the 4 specialist bowlers, and I think he's good enough too. And I think they can back him as a batter, and I think they'll be under pressure come Sydney.
Only capable of batting in the top 6. Then it changes the whole balance of the game. So you get out of this test match, you go to Sydney with him batting in the top 6, and you're playing 5 bowlers, game on.
Ravi, it also kind of makes it an interesting passage of play for Washington Sundar. Great series at home against New Zealand. You had one of the greats of India, Ravichandran Ashwin, retire during this series, which leaves that door more open for Washington Sundar. It just really comes down to your confidences of his abilities of when you can utilize him as a bowler. We're going to Sydney now.
Yeah. No, I've always believed he's the all-rounder for India in the future. And not just test formats of the game as well, you know, which makes him extremely useful. And he's just 22 years of age. He started his career as an opening batsman.
So he has the ability to bat higher.
Yes, he has. And you can see it. The way he plays the quicks, he has ample time. You know, he's got all the shots in his armory. You know, that punch is a quality shot from a left-hander. Full face of the blade facing mid-wicket and punching it for a couple of runs. And they've run beautifully. You know, the bowlers are tiring, the fielders are tiring. That's the time you need two youngsters who can run hard, take those 3 runs. And they took a lot of threes today. With this being the long boundary, this is the only country where you'll run that many threes. It will not happen in England, it will not happen in India, and it won't happen in New Zealand for sure. You know, because of the size of the grounds.
Well, this is India's young next generation that has certainly showed a lot of defiance as far as Australia is concerned, who put on a mammoth total, but that really does seem like a different day. In case you're just joining us, it's a bit of an elongated tea because of a weather interruption. Let's have a look at our top stories so far. Well, we'll go back to the start of the day, really, because the day started with India having 2 left-handers at the crease with their backs to the wall. All the conversations about you need to just bat the time. There's still enough runs on this wicket. You had the Rishabh Pant and the Ravindra Jadeja. And to be honest, gentlemen, Ravi, if you think about it, the first half an hour, there were a couple of edges, there were a couple of risks. And you look back at Rishabh Pant, the field was just set for him. Third was sent deep. You know that that is a shot that he attempts, the scoop. It just wasn't necessary at that moment.
And Scotty Boland was looking to bowl, up. He missed the first one, and the second one didn't come off the face of the blade. See, where Rishabh backs himself, I've known him for a long time, he backs himself to get the face of the blade. If he had got that, it would have been 6. He would have wanted, he was never looking for a boundary. He was looking to clear that field, but that's his instinct. That's the way he plays. You must remember, in a team, you need 1 or 2 players who can take the game away from the opposition.
The allowance, Ravi,
I will give him the allowance if I am the coach. I will give him the allowance. There are other guys to do the other job. You go and play your game, because I know when you fire, India will win. More often.
What would you say to him about that one shot in that one situation? With India so far behind the game.
I would have told him, understand the situation. You could have waited another half an hour, 45 minutes, and got another 30 runs because the field was spread out, and then attempted the shot, because the risk factor was immense. The other option could have been, you obviously have to tell him what other option is there. The other option, and hitting it down the ground. He did once to Pat Cummins early. He went down and hit him for this thing. That was the better option because there were no fielders there. So when you're taking the attacking route, look to go where there are no fielders, because he's got the shots in his armory. He's got the shots, all the shots. With this shot in particular, it was high risk at that time.
I mean, he was, I don't think he's unlucky, but he was unlucky in the sense that the ball caught the edge of the bat as it turned, and it went to the fielder behind the slips. So what he's trying to do is to get it over long leg, and he just didn't get it in the direction he wanted.
See, if that had hit the face of the blade,
it would have gone for 4 or 6 that way, and it went that way. So he got unlucky there, but in that situation, he was playing so comfortably. It's so much time to play every shot. Australia didn't have an answer to him. He was defending securely. He was soft on the bat. He was in the perfect zone. And I think that almost seduced him into the shot. Had he been struggling a bit more and fighting a bit more, he probably wouldn't have risked that shot. But he was so comfortable. And what you've got to learn to do is milk a situation. If you're that good a player and you're that comfortable.
Because they're very rare that you get a player like Rishabh Pant who has these sort of abilities and the confidence in that moment. Because when it comes off, Ravi, it's the game-changing, miraculous, maverick innings that has everyone's still talking about what happened at the cap.
Yes, and it will happen.
So where do you find the balance?
The balance he will have to find. He will have to realize what his strengths are and just weigh the situation. Like today, the odds were in favor of him just knocking it around for a little while longer because he was in no trouble whatsoever. When Rishabh bats and defends, he seems to have more time than any other player, who's playing in the 11. He has that much time.
Our old friend Tony Gregg, he used to say it's a greater crime to get out for 30 than it is for naught. If you're in a test match and you get out early, it can happen. Like Travis Head got out earlier than naught. 37, 21, 28, 20. He's got in on 4 occasions and he hasn't made the opposition pay. With that talent, that's a waste of the talent.
Yes, but over there, when you look at those scores, they don't really reflect he got a couple of good ones.
It's also the time.
He got a couple of ones where it's not in every innings he's attempted the shot. So, let's look at the way he was dismissed in each one of those innings. You'll see he's got 2 or 3 really good deliveries, which he's nicked off. He got a really good, a delivery that leapt off a length in Adelaide, where there was no way he was playing an attacking shot. He was out to Pat Cummins. He got another one that left him. He was caught behind. Second innings in Adelaide, for second ball of the day, he gets a good one from Stark. He nicks behind. So let's calm down here, guys. You know, it's not every time he's throwing it away.
The numbers,
you get some good balls as well.
the numbers are not really reflective, but we can show you visuals. We can show you the wickets that have fallen so far in this Indian innings, and sometimes the numbers don't reflect that as well. Yashasvi Jaiswal, for example.
I think we're overanalyzing it, and I think trying to find blame here for one or the other party is nonsense. He made a mistake. He called a run that was too tight, and it cost him.
Absolutely. I think where he misjudged it. First, it's the exuberance of youth. He wanted 100 last time. It was the last ball of the over. He wanted that single. Where he misjudged it was how quickly it went to that fielder. And Pat Cummins, I've seen him time and time again at mid-on inflict those runouts. Whether it's white ball cricket, whether it is red ball cricket, you know, he's very tight in that area, and he's smart. He positions himself looking for a run out as well. And that ball went a little too quickly to him, because I feel had Virat run, there could be a run out at both ends. A direct hit at the non-striker's end, Jaiswal might have been out. For all you know, it would have been very tight. Other end, Virat Kohli had to be an Usain Bolt, and still he wouldn't have crossed half the pitch.
Some of the dismissals, when you look back at that, you could categorize them almost in terms of, you know, unforced errors.
In this innings, it's probably the best I've seen him bat in a long time, because of the application, because of the discipline that he brought in. His preparedness to leave balls outside the off stump, bury that ego, forget that booming cover drive on the up, leave it. You know, and I think that was a loss in concentration.
Enough in the arm reader. You know Virat well enough.
Yes.
If he doesn't go to what is his most prolific shot.
See, these kind of players, much like Steve Smith, they can get on a roll. They can get on a purple patch where they'll string 300s in the next 8-10 innings. But if he follows that discipline, I see it coming pretty soon.
I have a feeling, you know, that he was distracted, maybe a little distressed by the run out.
Yeah.
It was the first time he'd felt for the ball.
Correct.
Around fifth stump. He hadn't done that once in the innings. He'd hit a glorious cover drive off a perfect length to play the shot, and he played it perfectly. Other than that, he hadn't fiddled about. It's a little bit of sort of Tendulkar in Sydney, back in the early part of the 2000s, in that great innings. And he was so focused, I think he was ready. And then the run out just discombobulated him. And he felt for the ball. And in cricket, it always happens. You make that little mistake when you're not having a great run, and it'll always catch you out.
And you know what happens? You'll sit in the dressing room, or you're standing in the slips. You see the opposition batsman batting, beaten once, beaten twice, beaten 3 times.
Change the insulation that he's got himself into. You speak about sitting in the dressing room and looking back. Well, Nitish Kumar Reddy, and of course Washington Sundar, but Nitish Reddy in particular, would not have welcomed this change at the moment. They knew tea was coming. It's a little bit of a longer break. You're in the flow right now, Mark. You can't help as a youngster but to think about those triple figures, because he'd been waiting for the half century. He said it. He'd been waiting for the half century. He said, I've got a string of 40s. I'm just waiting. I thought I'd get in debut. I didn't. Now he'd be thinking there's an opportunity here. And it's a lot. Those thoughts are invasive.
You literally count down. 15 to get, 15 to get, just stay.
474 is the target. There were all these conversations of, Australia can get the follow on. They're 148 behind. This game has turned. That's why they call it moving day, right? Day 3, it has moved.
And they could well add to that tally. If they hadn't gone, tea taken at normal time, there could have been another 20 runs there. He would have been 98, 99, or even past 100. For all you know.
We've got more than 70,000 people in here today. There's a lot of talk in the world game about how franchise cricket is taking the world over. Strike bowler and the support bowler. And I think really you want to use him. I mean, bowling more than 25 overs in innings is a pretty hard hit test after test. So I think a bit unlucky not to have Mohammad Shami here. Mohammad Siraj not maybe quite on it. I mean, good but not exceptional like he was on the last tour here. And so there has been extra responsibility, and that's why his pace is down because of the workload. So I would say it's not ideal, but of course he carried it brilliantly, because what he's got now is the ability to move the ball both ways. He's not just nipping it back or moving it away. He's got the ability to do both, and his exposure of some weaknesses of certain Australian batsmen in this series has been utterly brilliant. He homes in on the target. and he really...
Definitely off. We're just awaiting to see the resumption of play. Sunil Gavaskar joins us along with Mark Nicholas here. And now let's talk about what needs to be done. It's a burgeoning partnership. India are now only 148 runs behind thanks to Nitish Kumar Reddy and Washington Sundar. Hosani ji, we spoke about the fact that they're the all-rounders. We're not maybe utilize them as the bowlers. You've dropped a batter for this. But these two have displayed so much intent so far, so much defiance. And more than that, just the temperament of understanding the situation that India were in.
Hungry to consolidate their places in the Indian team. For Nitish Kumar Reddy, this is the first series. He's only playing his 4th test match. Wonderful selection, great. Most importantly, what these two youngsters have shown is a great understanding between the wickets, great understanding of the situation, how to play in that situation, not to look to play outrageous, crowd-pleasing shots. Just play proper, good cricket, and that's what they've done. And that's why they've taken India to some level of security.
Security is important. It's an 8-wicket stand now. You resume. And what do these two gentlemen need to do? Yes, milestones are looming, but that's not necessarily what's important for them right now. What is their game plan as to what is best for India? We're into day 3 now, the last session of day 3.
Exactly what they've done so far. I mean, literally mirror it. Play the odds, play the angles, play the opponent. They're just doing that so well. They're picking up every single available. Get a bad ball, they hit it for 4. They're enjoying each other. You can see that they're working as a team against the 11 Australians out there. They don't look to accelerate. Everything that you're doing, they are so spot on. I've said a few times to you in this last half an hour how enjoyable it is to watch two young people come together and take on the might of Australia in the way that they've done it. And more of the same, because actually they're still a long way out, still 150 behind. It's still possible for Australia to bat tonight, bat tomorrow morning, get ahead, have enough time to bowl India out in the 4th innings of the match. So they've still got to stretch this game out, keep trying to pull the elastic of this game now towards the close of play. The longer they're out there, the better chance they have.
Absolutely, totally agree, because I think that better chance for India to save the game. And who knows, you get even closer to Australia, and then maybe our spinners do a wonderful job, get Australia out for 140, 150, like it happened in the second innings at the Gabba, 89 for 7, and suddenly you're in with a chance of winning the game on the 50 as well. But I think that's going too far ahead of the story.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about someone's story. 10:30 India time is when we're hoping for play to resume if there's no more rain, and that's the story of Nitish Kumar Reddy, because on this tour it's his first big tour. Hasn't played that much first-class cricket, has definitely impressed in the IPL and T20s, shown some big match temperament in the T20 tournament when it came to pressure situations. Sunny, he had 40. One half of what is now the second highest 8-wicket partnership for India against Australia in Australia. But this day is not about that. This day is about resilience, discipline, emotion. You sum it up for me, Washington. That partnership with the 474 on the board and the way the two of you batted. Talk me through the phases of what your intent was.
I mean, intent was definitely to fight no matter the situation. I mean, the cells into good position. But yeah, different phases panned out quite differently, but You've done this before, you've done this, you saved a test match in Australia, you understand how relentless Australia. So when the short ball tactics were employed, the field changes were employed, how did you know when to take calculated risks, how to play the field? What were the conversations there?
I mean, the message was quite clear from the dressing room.
Teammate, let's be a little honest and talk about individual milestones. Suddenly the rain comes, we go back, we have an extended tea break. Both of you are approaching special numbers, you both had the fight. What was that 1 hour like, the conversation, nerves? Because Washi, you were out there, we were watching the body language, we were seeing some acrobatics on the field from you as well, prepping in.
I mean, it's definitely a great question for you to ask.
It was special, you can say that. Okay, I know we'll see the fight and we'll see all of that later, but come on, next test match between both of you, you've got to go to the team and say, okay, who are you going to bat higher up the order now?
I mean, Gauti bhai, I hope he's thinking about it already. No, I'm kidding.
No, he said it. Of course, everyone's thinking
about it. But honestly, no, Gauti bhai has helped me a lot because he's...
Well played, Washi. It was a partnership to remember. We can learn things on and the fight is on.
Thanks a lot.